But I'm back this week and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So, welcome everybody. Let's see here. Who's in the house this morning, bright and early? We have a few people already here, I think. Let's see. I don't know how many people are here today because I can't, my display is not displaying. Uh, how's everybody doing? Can you guys hear me okay? Let's get things started with a little sound check. Check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you hear me all right? All right. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. So, yeah, I wasn't here last week. Nothing crazy happened. I just decided to that I had a little bit too much on my plate and I had to take care of a few things. But it's going to happen from time to time, especially during the summer. Summertime is like that. Sometimes we have other things happening in our lives, so we're going to probably have like a little bit of a summer schedule happening for Addicted to Gear Live. Probably on and off. You know, it might not be every single weekend. But I'm going to try my best. Could you guys hear me okay? All good? I don't know. Let me know. I can lower the volume if it's too hot. All right, so we have a few people here today that remembered we're going live every Sunday, so thank you for joining in. Today we're going to be looking at a few of the stuff that I had planned to discuss last week, some of the topics, but as per usual, guys, if you have anything you guys want to bring up or talk about, let me know. It's going to be something that I really enjoy getting your feedback and I enjoy hearing your comments. And since we were in here last week, maybe you have something lined up or something that you're looking at this week. I had a couple of interesting things that I came across this week. One of the items that I saw basically tempted me, guys. The reason I say that is because it was something that I had owned previous that popped up on the used market again. I don't know if that ever happened to you guys. This happens from time to time. I always scour the online marketplaces in my area to see if there's anything interesting that pops up. Rarely does something interesting pop up these days that I haven't already tried or perhaps I'm interested in. But this week, a friend of mine, well, he's not really a friend, somebody I know that at one point bought some gear from me, had some gear for sale. I think he's doing a big liquidation because he's basically, I think he's moving. That's my inkling, because he's selling almost everything. He's selling a lot of cool stuff. One of the items that he's selling is a really nice Gibson Les Paul. It's a custom shop. It's beautiful. So there's no other reason why he would be selling all this stuff other than perhaps he's moving. Because it's not just that. He's got a whole bunch of other things. Anyways, long story short, one of the amplifiers that I owned in the past popped up. And I was very tempted to grab it again because it's a great amplifier. It's a Marshall clone, basically, of an old Plexi. Hand-wired, full 9 yards, beautiful amp. But the reason why I sold that amp, the only reason I sold it was just too darn loud. And I know, when you start saying things are too loud, it means you're getting too old. But I'm telling you, that thing was loud. So I had to buy an attenuator for it. I had to do all I could to try and get the sound volume down to make it usable in the house. And I managed for a while with it even had a built-in attenuator in the back. That still wasn't enough. And so I ended up using it with pedals and all kinds of stuff, trying to MacGyver ways for me to get the sound levels down. Eventually, I decided to sell it. Do I regret it? Yeah, because it was a great amp. I mean, if you're playing live and you need that kind of volume, nothing beats it. But if you're trying to do something at home, it's just too loud. So I ended up selling it. Eventually, I got my Marshall Studio Vintage 20. which is behind me right there, as you guys already know. And I also got the Brunetti here, and they do the Marshall thing extremely well, and they can do it at lower volumes, more manageable volumes. So I get all of the pleasure without the volume, and so I'm not regretting it, but that amplifier was too good. I almost feel like grabbing it just to keep it, but you know, chances are I'm never gonna play it, or rarely gonna play it, so I might as well just let it go to someone else, someone who's maybe gonna enjoy it more than me. So I was a good boy. I didn't go for it, but I came close, man. I was looking at it. I even contacted him and said, "Hey, remember me?" And he's like, "Yeah, I remember you for sure." So yeah, I had to be tough. It's almost like when you're an alcoholic, man, just trying not to take that first drink, right? That's kind of what gear addiction is. Have any of you had that experience before? Probably, I'm guessing. Yeah, never say never. It'd be funny if I show up next week and you see it behind me there again. That would be oh man. Anyway, so welcome everybody to today's Addicted to Gear live show. Glad to have you here with me this Sunday morning. If you're new here, as per usual, don't be shy. We love to meet new people, hear new stories, and we always welcome your questions and comments. Just a heads up, you'll need to subscribe to join the chat, guys. A lot of you already know. So if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscription button so you can jump right into the conversation today. As always, we got a fun day lined up, a fun show lined up. We'll be talking guitars, we'll be talking pedals, tone, some of the new stuff that's popped up on the news, news feed, new items coming up. And we'll be also checking this week's poll question, which is actually last week's poll question. So stick around, and if you haven't already voted, you can do that, and add to the tally, and we can check out the stats later on. So let's kick things off. Let's see if there's any questions already. I think there are. So I'm just gonna be scrolling from the bottom up today. Let's see. And as per usual, if you have a question that's directed to me, please put some question marks. Just because it's easier for me to see it when it scrolls by. All right. So Shane says, should you use one string tree or two on a Telecaster build? Shane, there's no real rule. In the past, there's been one. At some point, they put two. Sometimes, it really depends on what your guitar needs. Most of the time, if you feel like your strings are giving that sitar sound when you're playing, I would definitely use one. There's even I forget who makes it. I've seen it online. There's even a company that makes it so that you can put, instead of having to drill 2 holes to put an additional string tree, you can use 1 hole, and the little metal piece is made so that you can extend and do 2 or even 3 strings, so you don't have to drill another hole in your headstock. I hate making holes for no reason in my headstocks. So really the answer is it depends. If one does the trick and you don't have any issues, then one's enough. If you find you still have issues, then add another one. That's as simple as it is. What guitar is that? This is my Harley Benton. Really nice guitar that I got quite a while ago. This is from the Pro Series Harley Benton. I did a review on this guitar. It's a really nice guitar, guys. If you ever are in the market for, it's almost like a Sir style guitar. It looks a lot like the Pete Thorne Sir model, and it plays really well. It's a really nice guitar. I like it. I have no complaints about this guitar. The only complaint I have is that sometimes the little hex screws vibrate loose. You see here, there's one coming out. Can you see that? I don't know why. So sometimes I have to kind of screw that back in so it doesn't fall out. So a little bit of a tight lock will probably solve that. The only thing is if you don't see that happening, you could lose one. You know, like I spotted that right now. Also, I don't remember where I put my... I don't remember where I put my whammy bar. And I also, the only thing I did on this guitar is I changed the pickups. So I think it sounds pretty good. It does a lot, and it's easy to play, and it's got a roller. This one doesn't have a string tree. It's got a roller. The only thing about this roller is it's a little high. I don't know if you can see it. It doesn't need to be that high, guys, but it is. But it does the job. Locking tuners on the back. Really nice guitar. So I'll play this today a little bit. Hopefully I didn't blow your eardrums out. All right, let's see. Just scrolling down, seeing if there's any more questions here. I'm going to do that quickly. Shane had another question. Okay, well, I saw that one already. Go beyond that one. Anybody else have some questions? Casey Lee says he's going to look at a Charvel San Dimas, a Pro Mod 2. Telecaster style with 2 humbuckers. Had one years ago, gave it away for Christmas, and I still want one again. You know, Casey, I like those guitars a lot. I was considering getting one of those. I like the combination of having sort of like a a Telecaster with humbuckers, especially like the Charvel models. They look pretty cool. When they pop up, I kind of pay attention. So yeah, I think that's a great option to look at. I think you'll enjoy it. I'm gonna put the mic a little closer to me. Paul says Sunday off are okay, but it's nice just to get a quick message that the show is canceled. Just the word canceled is enough. Sorry, Paul. Yeah, you're right. Kind of inconsiderate of me to do that. Usually the way I do it though is if you don't see a preview, a thumbnail preview for the show, and usually I do that at least a day ahead, sometimes more, that typically means there's no show. I know that sending out a message saying canceled probably would be better, but that's kind of how I do it. Cushman says, question, guitar too loud? Does that mean the guitar is too loud, or the guitar is not loud enough? I don't know. Yeah, I'm wearing my Marshall t-shirt here. Not a subliminal, what do you call that? A product placement ad, when they kind of sneak those in the movies. When the guy sips from the Pepsi or the Coke, or you see the sign in the back, all that. I'm not endorsing them, although I do love the Marshall tone. If you're not a Marshall fan, that's perfectly fine with me. Mind you, I like the Marshall tone. I also like the Fender tone. I also like the Friedman tone, Brunetti tone, and many more. So, Shane says, let me just put this up here. Sebastian Bach subbed in for Vince Neil at a Motley Crue concert this week. Think he will replace Vince? I don't think so. I think it's just a temporary thing. Yeah, I think for legal reasons, I think Vince is there to stay. Perhaps he wasn't feeling well that day, or had laryngitis, or ate too many pierogies, whatever it is. But I don't think it's permanent. I think it's just a temporary fill-in. Dan wants to know what pickups these are. Dan, I wish I could remember. I change pickups so often. Let me see if I can find that out. I change pickups so often in so many guitars, guys, that I'm not trying to be funny. I really sometimes can't remember what I put in where, because not only do I often swap out pickups, but a lot of times I'll swap the same pickups multiple times. Like I'll try it in one guitar, and then if that doesn't work out, or I don't feel like it was a good match for the guitar, I'll swap the same pickups out and put them in another guitar. So sometimes I lose track, to be honest. I know it sounds crazy, but it's just me. Sometimes I have to go back to my videos and see what pickups I put in there. I kind of remember. Let's see here. And this is a while ago that I actually swapped out these pickups, because I had this guitar. I think I bought this guitar. It's gonna probably be going on 4 years, maybe. Man, it's been a while. And you know, when you have like 700 videos, it's sometimes hard to find the video. But it's in my video archive, guys. If you go in there and look at the review of this guitar, you'll see it, and I probably mention it. Yeah, this is I got this guitar 5 years ago. I think it was 5 years. And these are the Jalen pickups that I put in here. If you guys are familiar with the brand Jalen, I can pop up the Reverb store here and show you guys. This is Jalen. He sells on Reverb most of the time. He makes really good pickups, by the way, guys, in case you're in the market for it. He's got a whole bunch, and he can wind them to your specs if you want. You can just tell him what you want. He makes good stuff. So that's what I put in there. And if you're interested, just contact him. Let him know you heard it from me. Thank you, dude. Scar on My Guitar sent over a super chat. I do appreciate that, dude. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hey, if anybody wants to support the channel, super chats are always welcome. They're not necessarily required, but it does help, and I do appreciate that. So thank you very much for helping out the channel there, dude. I appreciate it, man. All right. Thomas says, what is a good guitar to play vocal melody? I mean, for playing melody of a song not sure if my English is understandable. Is HSH good? Thomas, I don't really think there's like a specific configuration if you're talking about humbuckers. For melody, I mean, as long as you have a nice sounding guitar with nice sounding pickups, you can probably do it with any combination. I don't think you need to have a specific type. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know if any of you agree or disagree with that, but I've heard people, playing all kinds of different guitars and doing melody. So yeah, I think you're good with any kind of guitar. You can dial it in. Presley says it's kind of loud when my ears are wrecked. Presley, what's loud? Is it the voice or the guitar? I think maybe the guitar. You lower it a little bit. Is that better? All right, let me go scroll down a little bit more here. All right. Ken says, thanks, David. What number on pots is the most acceptable? 500K. It depends, Ken. What type of pickups are you using with that pot? Because different pots will work well with different guitars. 500 is usually for humbuckers, 250 for single coils generally. That's a ballpark. Anyway, you can use other values if you wish. You know you can do anything you want really, but that's typically the standard. Shane doesn't trust my answer. He's asking Scar My Guitar the same question. How many string trees should you put on a Telecaster? Let's see what the answer is. No offense taken there, Shane. It's okay. You can ask it as many times as you wish. All right. Good. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things this week. One of the things, obviously, is that PRS has put out a shredder type guitar. Have you guys seen this? So I guess they're trying to get into the shred market. And why is that? Probably because there's money to be made there and they haven't done it already. They're not, I mean, PRS, you know, are they considered like, and I hate using the word shred because shred, what does shred really mean, right? You have guys like Mark Tremonti playing PRS guitars and, you know, a lot of other players that can play really well, really fast. I mean, do you consider that a shredder? You know, whatever that means. I hate using that word. But anyways, they came out with they re-released a limited edition a signature model. And this guitar is interesting because it's kind of a different shape. There's a lot of different things on this guitar. It's very unique. I'll actually share it on the screen because it's easier for me to explain it while I'm showing you. So here we go. This guitar is what I'm talking about. Limited edition. They say Unleash the Dragon. And this guitar looks very different than any other models. It has a very unique shape. It's got a Floyd Rose on it. It's got Fluence pickups on it, active pickups. Interesting to say the least. Is it my style? Not really. But there's videos out if you want to look at it, and you can see all of the specs on the guitar. So the Floyd is not actually made by Floyd. It's a Goto. It's interesting that they went with Goto as opposed to Floyd, but they did. They have the Fishman Fluence Omniforce pickups on that, which are active pickups. And they have their locking tuners, locking nut, the whole 9 yards. It's fully loaded, all dressed. Now, the other thing that's all dressed about this guitar is the price. I don't know if they list it here, but I think it's like close to $10,000, this guitar. So if you're in the market and you have like 10 G's or almost 10 G's burning a hole in your pocket, you might want to consider it. Otherwise, you can start searching for loose change in your sofa and see whether or not you can save a couple of pennies here and there to possibly buy that guitar. Any of you interested, or what do you guys think? It's funny because one of the videos that I saw, I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but one of the videos that I saw on this guitar, they were actually playing it live on stage. And what ended up happening is the player was playing it, he got a little bit too carried away, and he kind of hip checked the guitar, and it snapped in two. And that was an embarrassing moment, especially if you're PRS. You know, I could just imagine Paul from PRS like pulling out his whatever's left of his hair, saying, "Oh God, that's like the worst thing to happen." As the guitarist was kind of promoting the guitar, like he wasn't really promoting it; it was just a concert, but he was playing it for the first time. So yeah, I hope that the production models will be a little bit more solid than the pre-production models. But again, for me, not interested. I don't like the styling on that guitar for whatever reason. It's just not my thing. So if I had $6,500 to blow, I'd probably choose something else. I don't know how many of these they intend to sell, but it's a limited run anyway, so you know, it's one of those things. Let's see here. Shane says, man, that's one ugly guitar. I know Shane is a big fan of PRS. The birds. He likes the birds, especially on the neck. The more birds, the better, right, Shane? Oh, man. All right. Yeah, just going back to Shane's question, sometimes you don't need any string tees. It depends. String tees, trees. Some people call them tees because they do look like a T. Some people call them trees. Whatever. Yeah, I think, you know, if I was in the market for a guitar like that, I'd probably look at PRS. I'd probably look at an Ibanez first or Sir. I think Sir makes some awesome guitars. And, you know, if you have that kind of scratch, Sir, you know, you can't beat the quality that Sir puts out. Peter England says PRS has reinforced the neck. Yeah, I'm sure they have after that issue, after that little fiasco. Not a good moment in the spotlight, I gotta say. Anyways, Corey says, I found pod values have to be experimented with when modding different pups in different guitars to see what sounds best to you. Absolutely. A lot of people don't play around with the values on the pots that much. They kind of just go with standard stuff and that's it, you know. And that'll get you in the ballpark. But if you're a cork sniffer, no offense to any cork sniffers out there, but if you're a cork sniffer, you probably have played around with the values. So take a look at that if you're not happy with your sound. There was other good news that I saw this week, guys. Randy Bachman and Burton Cummings will reunite as the Guess Who for their first gig in over 2 decades. And that's going to be happening in February. And apparently it's on the Rock Legends cruise. I don't know if any of you have been on that type of cruise. It's actually a cruise ship. And it takes off from Fort Lauderdale, and I'd like to be on. That would be a cool cruise to be on. Man, if I could squeeze that in, that'd be fantastic. Maybe I'll set it up, and I won't tell the wife that it's a rock cruise. But basically, it takes off from Fort Lauderdale, goes to Ocho Rios, Jamaica, which is a beautiful place. I've been to Jamaica before, and I think that's it. You're just basically going from Fort Lauderdale to Jamaica. And in February, I'm thinking, is that a good time to go to Jamaica? Yeah, I think so. And apparently there's going to be Gene Simmons will be on that one. Blue Oyster Cult will be on next year's cruise. So it could be cool. That would be nice to see. You know, it's an old fart cruise type of thing, you know, but they're cool old farts. All right. Paul says, pedal of the week, Universal Audio UAFX 1967 Comp Killer, $169, but in Canada, $109. But in Canada, $109 US, yes, dirt cheap in Canada. Why is that? Why is it cheaper in Canada? Usually it's the other way around. Is it a Canadian product, Paul? Okay. Be looking at that. Let's see here. Danielle says, love the sound that Matt was getting out of his L5 with a Charlie Christian pickup and a P90. Great live stream. Replay is available on YouTube at Radio Free Birdland channel. So if anybody's interested in taking a look at that, that's available. Stuart says, why can't Why can I not get volume pot to taper off properly? Some guitars work great, some suck. I have changed pots and I'm not sure how many it improved. Almost seems random. So what's the problem, Stuart? Is it because you're finding the tapers too abrupt? It's, you know, is it the type of thing where the volume is like gets lower, and then it just cuts off? Is that the issue that you're having on your pots, or something different? There's different types of pots, though. Eh? There's audio taper pots, and the taper on different pots could be different. So you have to pay attention to the specs on it. You can't just use any pot. You know, they gotta be rated for guitar. And there's better pots and worse pots depending on the manufacturer. Martin, what's happening, dude? Martin just got his Friedman Runt 20 combo. Hey, congratulations, man. My plan was to replace my DSL 40 CR, and I think that's a good plan. How do you like the Friedman Runt? Let us know your feedback on that. I'd love to hear it. There's a few of those floating around the market used here that I kind of took a look at it briefly. And I've always been interested in the Runt. I haven't grabbed one yet because I think it would be a little redundant with the stuff that I already have. But if you're replacing your Marshall DSL, I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to be better off with the Runt. Let us know. Have you taken it for a spin already? Have you kicked the tires on it yet? Let's see. He says, not really impressed, let's just say. Thought it would be a mile ahead of my Marshall, like the Runt by my Marshall is so damn good. Mistake? Say that again, Martin. Sorry, I'm not following. So you're not impressed with the Runt? Is that it? Maybe I'm not reading it right. Maybe you're trying to say, not really impressed. Thought it would be a mile ahead of my Marshall. Like the Runt. I think you meant, but my Marshall is so damn good. Mistake. Oh, I see what you're meaning. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's a mistake. I would think that the Runt would be great. But if you really like that Marshall tone, I mean, let's not forget the Runt is not necessarily that Marshall tone, right? It can get you in the ballpark, but it's not exactly the same. So if you're into that tone, maybe for you it's not exactly what you were looking for. I don't know. I'm surprised to hear, though. I think they're still a lot of fun to play. Peter England says Gene Simmons would charge you for a lifeboat. Yeah, he probably would. And if you go up to him, he'd probably be rude and not want to talk to you. I'm not a big Gene Simmons fan, but you know, if he's on the ship and he wants to use the little lounge chair next to me to suntan, I'll let him do it. But I'm not going to talk to him that much. I'll just say, Gene, keep it down. You know, I'm trying to relax over here. Shane says, Tony, generally, what are your tone and volume knob settings when you plug in your guitar? Is it best to not have them all on 10? Yeah, yes. Shane, specifically, I would say the answer is yes. But it varies. Everybody will do different things. But I like to leave a little bit extra, that extra 10% when I'm playing, especially when I'm playing live. At home, not so much, because I'm not competing with anyone. But in a live scenario, I like to try and get the sound I want at about 70%, maybe a little bit more, 80%, around there. Try and get the sound that I want around 80%, because a lot of people don't do this, and it's good to have just a little extra if you need that extra volume when you're playing. You don't necessarily need a boost pedal if you do it that way. If you know if somebody's, is coming up for your solo, if you're already at 10, you have nowhere else to go. And, people will drown you out. But if you get the sound that you're after at about 70, 80% volume, then you have that extra 20. Just enough to get you over the top. That's how I like to do it normally. So Martin says, thought the Friedman would be so much better than my DSL. I get it, Martin. Well, I'm sorry to hear that you're not digging it, but I would say give it some time. Put it through its paces. Try it with your pedals. Try it, in different scenarios. Maybe live if you're playing live. I don't know if your situation allows you to play live or not, but I would try it in different scenarios first and see, before you make your decision. And it's okay. Like, I don't think you probably didn't sell your DSL yet, right? So try them both. You might end up keeping both of them. Who knows? Or if you're considering selling your DSL, maybe you keep it for a while until you're 100% sure and then make that decision. It's okay to try stuff and not like it. That's fine. You can always just sell it, make your money back, and get something else. Smart Alex says, have you ever tried amp modeling? Like Tonex. Love mine, sold all my tube amps, including Marshall DSL, EVH, and Vox. So, Alex, yes, I have. I don't know how recent you've been watching the channel, but I have like over 700 videos of all kinds of stuff, gear, guitars, and all that kind of stuff that I've reviewed over quite a while. I've been on YouTube for over 10 years for sure. And yeah, I've reviewed the Tonex. I had that for a while. I don't have it anymore. I regularly play around with modeling. There's a lot of multi-effects amp models that have come and gone. You can probably see my Fractal over here. I still have that. I still have quite a few different ones. I'm not necessarily stuck on having to play an amp. I enjoy playing anything that sounds good. So if it sounds good through a modeler, I'm happy. If it sounds good through an amp, I'm happy too. I want it all. Good tone is good tone. That's how I look at it. Dan says, better, I think so. That much better? Nah. When I upgraded, it was only a few $100. Now it's like $750 difference. Dan, sorry, man. I don't know what you were talking about there. I have to go back and see what you're talking about. Sometimes I jump in and out of conversations, sideline conversations that are going on. So, Profile Production says one string tree, the triple one. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, Profile. Yep. Shane says that Harley Benton fretboard looks wicked. Yeah, it's a nice fretboard. It's got a lot of variation in wood, the wood grain. It's not just one flat color, which is really nice. Great guitar. I recommend it. Tony gives this guitar a thumbs up. So Paul says, Tony, made in the USA, and even the Long and McQuaid staff rub their eyes when you check out. The price is posted on their site. Best comp I've ever had. Transparent, endless sustain without squash or pumping. I'll take a look at it, Paul. If you recommend it, I'll take a look at it. Although I already have two different compressor pedals in the lineup, which are pretty good. So I'm not really in the market for a third, but I'll take a look at it. Yeah. Thanks for making that suggestion, man. So Profile Production says, I think Groons makes the string tree in Nashville. I've seen it in a couple of places. I don't remember where, Profile. But if you look online, you'll find them. I'm sure there's also knockoffs now that you can get in other places. Smart Alex says, hated the DSL 40 CR, bought it and sold it, not once, but twice. Interesting. I've never pulled the trigger on a DSL-40 from Marshall. Never owned one. I like the look of them. I like the portability. You know, the fact that they're not that big. But when I've watched videos and stuff like that, I wasn't necessarily 100% convinced that it had the sound I was looking for in a Marshall. Zach says, Tony, a few weeks ago I bought my uncle's 80s made in Japan Fender Telecaster 3-tone sunburst finish rosewood fingerboard double bound. Beautiful, man. Those 80s Japanese Fenders are great. You know, I'd grab them all day long if I came across any. I'm sure you like it. There's something about those old Japanese Fenders. They're really great. It's funny that back in the day, people poo-pooed the Japanese Fenders, you know. It was like, no, it's got to be American. If it's not American, it won't be as good. And now people are looking for them. How times change. Shane says, I took my compressor pedal off my board. I'm not intelligent enough to get a good sound out of it. Well, maybe you don't need one, Shane. Not everybody needs it. You know, if you're just playing mostly at home, you could probably do without the compressor pedal. If I was playing at home and I had a choice between putting a compressor pedal on my board and an EQ pedal, I'd put the EQ pedal on first. It has more of a drastic effect on your tone. You can definitely get more out of it in terms of tone shaping, and it's easier to understand too. And it does make a difference if you put your EQ in front of the amp or through the effects loop. It'll change the sound and the way you can sculpt the sound as well. So it's fun to play around with. All right. Speaking of Fender, you know, they're always up to no good. They're always up to something, these Fender guys. So they re-entered the tuner pedal market with an ultra-precise strobe stomp box to rival Peterson and Boss. And it's more affordable than both, apparently. So they're trying to undercut and, you know, claiming that it's just as good. I don't know if it's just as good or not. I haven't tried them. But it's called the Strobo Sonic Tuner by Fender. And if you're in the market for a good tuner, you might want to take a look. It's one, I think it's $64 US. Sorry, no. Scratch that. $99. So it's $99, so it's basically cheaper than the Peterson at about $149 US. Cheaper than the Boss by a little bit, because the Boss is usually about $110 US. It's not cheaper than the Polytune, which I like. I think the Polytune from TC Electronic is great, and it's $64. So it's $99. It's more expensive than the Polytune, but a little less expensive than those other ones. So you would have to try it to see exactly if you like it or not. But I'm a big fan of the Strobo Stomp. That's what I got here from Peterson. Great pedal. If you don't have one, just get one. They're built solid. They have a nice screen. Really, really accurate. It's a good investment. But, you know, they're trying to get into that market as well, which is cool. I'm sure a lot of people will buy them. And I think they've also released a new boost pedal as well. It's funny that, you know, Fender's very popular in the guitar market, the bass market, the amp market, but pedals not so much. You know, people don't necessarily go out of their way to buy Fender pedals. Okay, I'm just checking on the comments here. Dan says Sweetwater has the original DSL-40 for $399, or had it for $399 at one point. If $50 is portable, 50 pounds is portable. Smart Alex, for me, 50 pounds is portable. At one point, I had the Mesa Boogie Mark III. I think just the speaker magnet on that thing was like 50 pounds. It weighed a ton. It was small. I mean, it was the same size as my Princeton Reverb, but it was so heavy. So, it's all relative, man. Musical Companion says, do you know the history of Bill Lawrence and his repair shop, and who one of his assistants magically quit and readily patented a certain humbucker? Are you asking the question to me, Musical Companion, or is that just a general comment for everybody? I'm not sure because there's no question marks ahead of the... So Zach says it was a great playing guitar, and I forgot to mention it's also left-handed. Ah, great, man. Fantastic. Very cool. There's also, the whole thing that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I had put a video out before all of the hoopla started on these darn clones and Behringer and all these things happening with their lawsuits and all that kind of thing. This has been brewing for a little while now. And I when I made the video before all of this hoopla, before all the shit hit the fan, I knew this was going to happen. But basically, I think at this point, from what I hear, and I'm sort of getting like burnt out from all of this clone talk. Everywhere I go, every link I look at, everybody's talking about the same thing now. But basically, what's happening now is that Behringer decided or agreed to change the name. So that's the first thing. It's not going to be as close to the original clone anymore. The name's changed. They put the name Behringer on it now, and I think they also changed the styling of the little horsey on it, so that apparently it's not going to be as easy to mix up, which I never thought was an issue from the get-go anyway. But I know what's going to happen now. A lot of these pre-changed Behringer clones, they're going to show up on the used market, and they're going to be asking for a lot of money because they were the original ones or whatever. So I've seen listings pop up. People are talking about listings of these Behringer pedals now popping up, and people are asking like $2,000 for a $69 pedal, which is ridiculous to me. Why would you want to spend that kind of money on any pedal? Because now it's like a lawsuit era Behringer, which doesn't make any difference. It's exactly the same pedal. But if you have more money than brains, you might want to grab one for sentimental reasons. But 100% the original inventor of the clone is going to be getting free advertising out of all of this. Of course, Behringer is going to sell truckloads of these things, because what's better than advertising other than free advertising? That's basically what they've done. They've basically, hit the jackpot with this because it's trending everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. So everybody's going to try and grab one of these now, and, they're going to sell a ton of them. So, good for them, I guess. Whatever strategy they had worked. Maybe now they're going to try to rinse and repeat and extend it with other pedals. Who knows? But it's a crazy thing. You know what I mean? It's a $69 pedal. It's nothing Nothing great. Everybody and their uncle makes clones nowadays, so you know, what's the big deal? Paul, I did see, yes, I did see the Harley Benton ST80. Yeah, I saw it. And I think it's really cool. I think it's cool. I was going to talk about that a little later, but since you brought it up, sure, we can talk about that now. I looked at it, and I think they're going to sell like hotcakes. Because, I mean, I'd buy one. Here, I'll put it on my screen. There. So, you know, it's a cool looking guitar, man. I think it is. If you're into that, you know, 80s style, Charvel, Kramer, that type of thing, why wouldn't you like it? Nice color. Looks like it's got a really nice fretboard on that as well. You can see it has the typical Harley Benton headstock. It's got the locking nut. It's got the nicely shaped heel right over here. It's got the carved horn, the lower horn that you see on more expensive guitars. I don't know if you can see that clearly here. It's cutting out on my screen. Maybe I can put it a little bit more. There you go, guys. Sorry about that. Trying to get that. And it looks like it also has a baked maple fretboard. So that looks nice, man. Let's see what it says. I didn't look at all the details yet. So it says compound 12 to 16 inch radius, 22 stainless steel frets, which is great. It's got a Floyd Rose 1000 system, which seems to be better. It's not the Floyd Rose Special, which is good. What else? Tesla Plasma X1B Alnico 5 humbucker. I like the Alnico 5s usually, so that's nice. It's a good choice. I think they spec'd it out properly. So the body's basswood. I have nothing against basswood or basswood, however you want to call it. Canadian maple roasted neck. Yes, it is roasted. That's nice. And I do like the compound radius. I like the stainless steel frets. I mean, it's definitely a good looking guitar in terms of specs. I don't know if they offer in any other color other than red at this point. I think not. I think the red is the only one. So if we look at the pricing, so here's the thing. How much does it cost, right? So it's $535. Now, I guess that's US. I'm not really sure at this point. Oh, no, this is Canadian. Sorry. How much is it going to be if it's US? Let's take a look. US. Where's the US flag? Oh, they took it off. Wow. It's gone. No, it's got to be there somewhere. Hey, what the? Okay. Oop, sorry. How come there's no U.S. flag here? Is that, am I dreaming or do I not see a U.S. flag? That's not right. Something's wrong here. Is it that they're not shipping to the US? Could that even be a thing? Oh, there it is. Oof. Got scared there for a second. All right. So we have US. Well, how come it didn't pop up? What the heck? Okay. United States. Save. There we go. $385. That's more like it. See, for $300, if I can get that guitar for $300 Canadian, I would. I'd buy it. $500, it's pushing it a little bit because I'm thinking it's $500 Canadian. Then there's going to be import charges for sure. So I don't know, man. Got to think about that. But I like the specs. Anyways, even regardless of the price, I do like the specs. If anybody's ordered one of these in Canada, I'd like to know if you've had to pay import. What kind of import fees you had to pay, shipping and import. Yeah, I know, United guys. I get it. I get it. Good morning, Rex. What's happening? So I don't know. What do you guys think? Who's grabbing one? Let's take a little poll here. How many of you are interested? I like it. I really do. I think that would also make a killer modding platform, you know, if you ever wanted to mod it. But why would you? I think everything is pretty good. I like it. Steven says another $25 can get you an Ibanez. Yeah, but it's not the same, Steven. It's like, you know, this is like an 80s guitar. You know what I mean? That's the same reason I bought my Charvel not long ago. It's an 80s thing. And Searching for Tone says $430 for the dual humbucker. Yeah, the dual humbucker, yeah. I mean, that's another option too. I like the single humbucker model though because it's simple. You know, it reminds me of Eddie, which is cool. So I'm interested. Cushman's interested. Anybody else interested? Yeah, Dan, it only had one knob, no tone. Just volume. Which is fine. Sometimes you don't need anything else. So only Cushman is interested in that guitar? I thought there'd be more of you interested. Oh well, okay. Maybe it won't sell as great as I thought it would. What other options do you have? I mean, you can get yourself a, you know, you can get yourself a Kramer Special, but you're gonna, you know, to be able to mod it with these kind of specs, it doesn't have the Floyd, it doesn't have the carve on the back of the Floyd, so that you're not gonna be able to do the pull-ups, just the dive bombs. It doesn't have the contoured heel. It doesn't have the stainless steel frets. It doesn't have the really nice big maple neck. So yeah, you can get the Kramer for like $200, $299, whatever it's selling for in your area. Around here, it's about $299 plus tax. But you're not going to be able to mod it like that. And if you do, it's going to cost you probably just as much or even a little bit more. So I'd rather go with the thing already made. Anyway, interesting. Okay, that's cool. I like it. I think, like I said, a lot of people are maybe over the 80s thing. I'm not. I like them. Rico recommends a used LTD instead, probably. Dan's interested. All right, so Dan's interested too. Cool. Yeah, I think it's a cool guitar, man. All right, well, maybe I'll end up getting my hands on it eventually and I can do a review for you guys. And yes, Dan says Fender gets $420 just for the baked maple neck. And I think the maple necks are great. This one doesn't have a baked maple neck, but my other Harley Benton, which is back there, does. And that's a solid neck. No issues with it at all. So the other thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if you guys are fans or have tried, but the Koch amps are releasing a Durango 12-inch speaker combo amplifier called the Mighty Sound, which caught my attention. I was curious to see what it can do. It's not cheap though. The reason I looked at that one is because it's small. It's about the size of a Princeton also. It's a single channel amplifier. It's got, it switches from 4 to 12 watts, which is good for small gigs or particularly good for home use. It's got EL34s in it, as well as 12 AX7s in the preamp section of the amplifier, so you can get some really nice sounds out of it. But it gives you some grit in terms of overdrive. Doesn't go too far beyond the grit though. But from the videos that I've seen thus far, it sounds pretty good. I like the stuff that they're putting out. So I've never owned an amp from them before. The thing is, it's pretty expensive. I think it's going for about 1,200 euros. So it's not cheap. And when you get to about that price, then there's other things you can consider. But I think they're good quality. I think they've proven themselves to be good quality amplifiers. Rex says that he's a fan of the Harley Benton guitars. And he has a CST24. And we just shot a video of the Harley Benton Travel Mahogany. So there you go. I'm a fan too, Rex. I think they're great. You know, now that things have changed a little bit with tariffs and all that, I don't know how much of a change we can expect here in Canada. Since it's not necessarily coming from the US, there shouldn't be that much of a change. But there's still, you know, there's still shipping, and there are some kind of duties to pay. It's just that I'm not really sure what they are. And Rex says, looks nice, just got a big 80s guitar guy. Not a big 80s guitar guy, but I see the attraction. Yeah. And Rico, it's funny because the guitar that you have in your avatar, your little circle, it looks like the Satchel model. That came up also on the used market here. Some guy was selling one for, I think, $1,200. And unfortunately, I think he was looking for a trade. He didn't want to straight up sell it. And unfortunately, I bought my other Charvel not long ago. Otherwise, I probably would have grabbed it. It's a cool looking guitar, and it's got the active pickups in it as well. But bad timing, I guess. So I let that one slide for now. But Rico says, I think for $259, the SBS Steve Brown Trickster are a good deal. Haven't played one though. They get a little bit of mixed reviews, Rico. I've watched that because I've seen those too, and apparently it's hit and miss with those. I was trying to get one to see if I can actually review it and see what kind of quality you get out of those guitars, but I wasn't able to get it. But I would, you know, you're right looking at those guitars because they're a little bit less expensive. They kind of look the same. They don't have the same specs per se. I think the Harley Benton probably has better specs. But yeah, it's very similar. Shane says for 500 USD you can get used Ibanez or RGs all day long. You can. But to me it's not the same beast. You know what I mean? Like that guitar is more like a Charvel, I would say, than an Ibanez. To me, Ibanez are definitely different. You know, I'm not saying that they're not cool guitars, regardless, but they wouldn't scratch that 80s itch for me as much as that one would. That's just my preference, but they're cool guitars nonetheless. Rico says, I love my Satchel Charvel. Yeah, I'm sure you do, man. I like the tiger stripes. It's one of those things. I know it's kind of like gaudy now, like if people are like, where are you going with that thing? Did you leave your hairspray at home? You know, that kind of thing. But I like it. I don't mind it. Yeah, Paul, you're right. The neck on the Harley is Fender-like. That's the difference between that guitar, I would say, and an Ibanez model. Ibanez usually have the thinner necks, while you know the older '60s guitar, 60s, 80s guitars had more of the Fender thing going. You're absolutely right. Should we look at the poll question, guys, before we forget? Why not? Let's do it. And the poll question, funnily enough, if funnily is even a word, had nothing to do with guitars. I was actually asking the question, have you ever considered switching to bass guitar? So, some guitarists might think that's sacrilege. Like, why would I want to switch to bass? I'm a guitarist, I'm not a bassist. But I was curious to ask that question because, believe it or not, I enjoy playing both. My first thing is guitar, 100%. But from time to time, I pick up a bass. I got 2 of them here, and I'll plug in to a little cab that I have here, and I'll just start playing bass lines, and it's a lot of fun. It's like, to me, it's simpler, I would say, and fun if you're playing the right stuff. Certain types of music are not fun to play on bass. If it's just a repetitive rhythm where you're just doing the old do 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 thing, that's boring. But if you put in some nice funk grooves or different types of music that some of the old stuff, they had some really great fun bass lines to play. So for me, I haven't really considered switching to bass, like permanently switching to bass. I don't think I'd be able to do it because to me, guitar's my thing, but I enjoy playing bass nonetheless. So I was wondering how you guys felt about that. Let's have a look at the poll. Let's see it. Let's see what kind of answers we got. Let me go back to my section here. Okay, so we had about 260 votes. And although I made a little typo on the question, I left out the H in have, but I think you guys understood the question nonetheless. So have you ever considered switching from guitar to bass? Surprisingly, 51% of you said I actually play both. So there you go, I'm not the only one. 51%. So some of you guys like to swing both ways, it seems. Which is cool. Hey, if it tickles your fancy, why not? 36% of you said, nah, 6 strings forever, rock and roll, hardcore guitarists, full speed ahead. And I respect that. 10% of you said, I thought about it, bassists get all the groove. 10% thought about it, but that doesn't necessarily mean they've done it. And then 3% says, yep, already made the switch. So there you go. 3% of you have taken the decision, have made the difficult decision to go bass. So yeah. We had a couple of comments, so I'm going to just look at some of those comments. I always like reading what you guys have to say. So Shane commented, he says, have to play bass in my new band. Why do you have to play bass? Did they force you to play bass, or was it a mutual decision, or you couldn't find a bassist, or what's the story behind that? My knees hurt says, how hard is it to play the same 5 notes on a bass that I play on guitar? I play both equally bad, he says. It's good to have a sense of humor. I appreciate that. And our very own Paul says, I probably will eventually. As a singer-songwriter, I'd love to record a serious recording album. And I can program drum machine, but I need to put more than the dabbling I've done on bass. I can easily play with a pick, but my classic fingerstyle needs better endurance. So he's working on it. He's working on it. Very cool. Thank you for answering that poll question. I do appreciate that. It's always great to have some insight as to what you guys are feeling and doing out there. Searching for Tone says, once you go bass, you never change your strings again. You're right. I've never changed a bass string. Ever. And I've owned I have an Ibanez bass, and I have kind of like a Fender jazz bass knockoff type of thing as well. Never touched the strings. Mind you, I don't play them all that much, so I don't think they're due. Corey says, I've owned a bass and had fun with it, not ready to go all in as a failed guitarist quite yet. I've been tempted to, not to do the switch, but I find it's fun. I find it's fun. You can do a couple of gigs here and there and switch over to bass for a while. It makes you appreciate it more. Gives you a different perspective on, how the bass player thinks and what he's listening to when you're playing with a band. You have to be very in sync with the drummer. You have to lock in with the drummer and stuff like that. So it gives you a good insight as to, what the other person is doing or paying attention to. All right. So guys, you guys are pretty quiet. You haven't popped up with any gear related questions and all that kind of stuff. Here's one for you guys that kind of caught my attention. Got me a little worried, I'm going to say. Apparently, there's some evidence that AI generated bands are starting to pop up on Spotify, believe it or not, already. Could you imagine that? Apparently, they claim, and this might be just a rumor, I don't know, but I've seen this and it's caught my attention, and I'm a little worried because there's a band called the Velvet Sundown, and this band apparently has zero online presence. So they don't have anything happening on YouTube or Instagram, or there's no posts. There's nothing that we can find on this band, except for an image, which could very well be AI generated, but apparently there's a description, there's an image, there's no online footprint. It looks like there's some sort of biography, but it looks like it could be ChatGPT generated. And these guys are getting about 350,000 monthly listeners listening to the music. So, is this the beginning? Is this the beginning where we're going to be starting to see computer AI generated artists, bands pop up? And if this is the case, who's getting the royalties? Is it the guy that's done the programming? You have a pseudo band that doesn't exist. How is this going to work? But what if somebody does this and it actually charts in the top 10, or what if it hits number 1? Then what? Does this open up a new Pandora's box where now anybody could be an AI generated band? One person? I think it's coming, guys. I think we're going to get there. I think in the short term, like maybe not yet, but in the next, I'm going to say in the next 10 years, we're going to see this stuff happening, which is going to kind of blow our socks off because, it's all fun and games when the technology sucks, right? Because then you say, what, AI can never beat the real thing. It's, you can tell it's corny and it's, not well done. But give it another 10 years, guys, where you can pop out a finished, album, if we could even call them albums anymore. Imagine we can have a whole slew of recordings in the style of XYZ, your favorite band, a mishmash of your favorite singer, your favorite guitarist, drummer, whatever. It's like when they generate those AI images. Some images suck. If you try generating an AI image, you'll get something that looks like garbage most of the time. Yet there's people that have played around with the algorithms enough to pop out really cool stuff. And you know, if you manage to be able to do that yourself and get music out there, who knows? So we're definitely entering a new generation, a new future when it comes to music. And good or bad, it's here. Whether we like it or not, it's not going to stop. And it's going to keep advancing. So, you know what? Get ready. I would say get ready. Already the new generation of kids these days don't like to play or practice. They're on their computer and they're generating computer generated music, you know, beats and loops and all that kind of stuff. This is the next step, guys. This is where it's going to go. So, yeah, scary times. By the way, the sound that you were hearing, this guitar. That is actually coming from this. Oops, I got too much stuff happening on my desk here, guys. Sorry about that. That's coming from this little guy. This is a Valaton GP5 multi-effects unit, believe it or not. This little thing, multi-effects. So yeah, I've been playing through this today. I've been playing through that instead of my fractal that I usually play through, because why not? I'll be doing a review on this GP5. I think it's a cool little tool and it sounds pretty good. And it's tiny, not expensive at all. So for you, whoever was asking me earlier about whether or not I experiment with multi-effects, the answer is yes. You can see it right there. So yeah, take a look at it, man. I'll put out a video this week for sure, maybe even this weekend if I got time. A few other things are coming out in terms of reviews. By the way, the PAL 800 is a great pedal. I did a review on that. It's right over here. If you guys want to hear that in action, just go back and I think it's 3 videos ago maybe. Which is a fantastic little pedal if you're into the Marshall sound. I've been playing around with this too, the Pantheon. This is a Wampler pedal, overdrive. Great pedal, man. I was playing this through my Supersonic yesterday, just through the clean channel, just to see what I can get. Supersonic sounds great, but you have to crank it a little bit. If you're playing it under 4, you're not getting the oomph of that particular amplifier, but beyond 4, it's great. And with something thrown in the mix like that, it's a fire breather. Really nice. And I've also did a review on this guy recently as well, if you want to take a look at that video. This is a cool little pedal as well. It's the Flamma FF20. This is a looper pedal. Cool looper pedals, man. I enjoy playing with looper pedals so much. They're so much fun. This one's cool. So if you want to check out my video on that, just go back a couple of videos, you'll see it. And there's more stuff coming, man. I got so much stuff to show you guys and not enough time to actually do it. But if you guys are into new pedals and stuff, there's a few other ones that I have lined up as well. I put out a messy workbench video with a new tool, and I did a video also on a cool, inexpensive acoustic guitar. If you guys are into buying something that's not too expensive, you can check out that one. But I've been pretty busy, man, so there's a lot more stuff coming. Zarly Zed says, good morning, Tony. I agree the PAL 800 is an awesome JCM 800 pedal. Indeed it is. It's definitely going on my board, Zarly. It's going to kick something off because it's too good not to have there. And he says, I just picked up a Friedman JJ Jr. and really enjoying it. The JJs are nice. Congratulations. It looks like more and more people are buying Friedman amplifiers. We had someone earlier that also said they got the Runt. I really love my Dirty Shirley. The JJ Jr. is cool. Very cool. The J.K. Lee is awesome. And I think they're also trickling out the new modded plexis, And I think there's some kind of a mailing list happening, so you can't just buy one. You have to be on a list. I don't know if it's because they're only going to be making a few. Maybe they're not going to be doing a permanent run. But I did get notification that if I wanted to order one, I would have to be on the mailing list. They've already gotten through the first list, and apparently there's a second list now circulating. And if you're not on it, you might not get one. Mark says, have you tried the new James Tyler models from China 180 US? No, I have not. I have not ordered anything from China recently, Mark. Have you? Are you interested in that, or you picked one up, or? I haven't ordered anything from China. I just, with all this stuff happening right now between China and the US and tariffs and all that kind of stuff, I think pricing from China has kind of jumped around a little bit, even though I'm in Canada. So I've kind of laid off. I'll wait a bit. I'm not in a big rush. Good music is good. Said he just bought his first Bugera, but the cab doesn't get here until Wednesday. Sounds great through headphones. Which model did you buy? The Behringer is something that a lot of people enjoy because it's not that expensive. You know, it's great for home use and that kind of thing. So people will often buy that if, you know, they don't have a need for 100-watt Marshall or something like that. You can get some pretty good tones out of it. So that sounds cool. Just curious to know which model you bought. Okay. Oh, one other thing. I almost forgot. You know, it seems like a lot of the old bands eventually retire. And what ends up happening, they either start playing gigs in Vegas, and then eventually are put out to pasture. We've seen that happening with a few bands already. One of the bands that had retired has decided to come back. Foreigner, you guys know the band Foreigner? Well, they're coming back. It was basically they were on the road to their final historic farewell concert. This is back in 2023, I think. And now they decided that they changed their mind. They got bills to pay. They're not retiring after all. So if you're a Foreigner fan, you can party with them because they're coming back. Now, I don't know what this means. I don't know if it's temporary or not. Probably is. I mean, they're all getting old anyways, but good to hear that they're coming back. Now, there's a new singer, Lou Gramm, the original singer, was replaced back in 2005. But I don't know if that means he's coming back or not. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see to get more information on that. But they're coming back, so if you're a fan, you can maybe get at least one more run out of it. It's funny how things change like that. EF says, I love your Harley Benton. I have the Telecaster version in the same color. Replace the bridge with a Fender Made in America HT bridge and swap the pickups for SD hot rodded, an S. Seymour Duncan hot rodded set. Yeah, I like this guitar too, man. Yeah, I did have the Telecaster version 2 of the guitar. I ended up selling that though. Just liked the guitar better, and I had a few Telecasters already. But yeah, they're great guitars, as I mentioned earlier. Vox says people were saying AC/DC should retire after a show a while back. Yeah, but Angus is still doing it, man. As long as he does it, they're going to keep on milking it. That guy's like a machine. At his age, still, you know, jumping around on stage. Well, not necessarily jumping around, but, you know, he's still hustling around the stage there. It takes a lot out of you, man, to put on a live show like that. Touring is not easy, especially when you get to that age. I could only imagine. But he's still doing it. You know, these guys, it's in their DNA. They've been doing it since they were kids. I saw a video just the other day of AC/DC, and I swear Angus Young looked like, originally he was up there with his little schoolboy uniform because he looked like a little schoolboy. He was tiny, and he had his little backpack and everything, and he was playing. It was so cool. But he honestly, he looked like he was eight in that video. I know he wasn't 8, he was probably at least a teenager, but he was already doing it. So how do you stop doing it when you've been, doing that for so long? It's your life. Like I'm pretty sure no matter how hard it is for these guys to do it, if you stop them, that's when they're going to kick the bucket. 100%. You stop Angus from going on stage and that's it, So I'm glad to see he can still do it. I'm happy for him, man. It looks like he's still having fun. So who am I to say stop? Good music is good, says Sabbath's last show is supposedly in July. Yeah, that's another announcement that I saw. I don't know, that one I have mixed feelings about, just because, I feel like if Ozzy's going to be up there, he's kind of like done. Not because of anything, just, he can't physically do it anymore. You know what I mean? So unless he's going to be just making an appearance and singing with backing tracks, which probably is going to happen, it's just going to be for one more go, one more kick at the can, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be it. So we'll see what happens. Paul says, Tony, just good dumb luck, but when scanning over Harley Benton, hold on a second. Let me try and get this right. Tony, just good dumb luck, but when scanning over Harley Benton, read the numbers of the euro price and think of it as Canadian money, but with the shipping included. I don't know. Sorry, I don't understand, Paul. Say again. Come again. Sorry, I'm dense, man. Dan says Angus is amazing. Profile says AI. Oh no. Yeah. Oh no. You said it, buddy. Sabbath will never die. Well, you know what? I agree that I like to see the old bands continue as long as possible. As a matter of fact, it's funny we are on this topic because recently I saw that Pink Floyd just released a new album after all these years. It didn't even register that they had done so, but they apparently released earlier this year their At Pompeii compilation, I guess it is. Live recordings that include performances of Echoes, One of These Days, and the recordings were originally done in 1971 when they actually performed at Pompeii, and I think there's a video of that. So apparently they digitally restored and remastered the tapes, and they released them again. So, the Pink Floyd fans out there were probably rejoicing to have something refreshed and renewed to listen to. And apparently, when it was released, it hit number 1 in the UK charts. It stayed there for a couple of months. Of course, after a while, it's going to start going back down. But in the meantime, Dark Side of the Moon is still up there. From 1973, the album has reappeared on 4 UK charts this week alone, because obviously the news and the buzz will allow it to stay on the charts. So it climbed to 83, apparently. And it's just crazy that after all these years, they're still charting. But Pink Floyd is a phenom. It's one of those bands that You know, they just did everything right, even with all of the turmoil and, you know, things that happened over the years. People still love them. All right. Mark says, have you seen Ringo Starr lately? He's 84 and very active, like dancing and running on stage like he's 25. I have seen Ringo a couple of times pop up. You know, he's living the good life. You know, he's enjoying it. He's, you know, why wouldn't he? He's having a great time. Plays the occasional gig, you know, plays with his friends. I believe Joe Walsh is his brother-in-law, if I'm not mistaken. So they're related somehow, if I'm not mistaken. So he's having a good time. I'd be doing the same if I had his kind of money. I'd be doing exactly the same thing. Gene says, I'm off to jam and celebrate my birthday. Everyone have a good one. Thanks, Tony. Hey, Gene, have a great birthday, dude. Have an extra piece of a birthday cake for us, all right? Extra cream. Enjoy yourself, buddy. Hopefully there'll be some nice gifts on your birthday, too. Maybe gear-related, too. Who knows? Report back next week. I'd love to hear about it. Zarly says, I went to an AC/DC concert in Vancouver. They were amazing, still rocked it, and Angus was non-stop. Everybody tells me the same thing. Everybody that's been to an AC/DC concert tells me the same thing. I, unfortunately, have not been to an AC/DC concert, and I regret it. I'd love to go. You know, there's just something about non-stop rock and roll, man. It's like powerful and punchy, and it'll get you going every time. Iggy was still at it as of a couple of years ago. Latest 2022 album is pretty rockin'. If you're referring to Iggy Pop, I saw him recently. He doesn't look good, man. He should seriously start putting a t-shirt on. He still likes to go on stage, you know, with his bare chest and all that kind of stuff. But I think he's got some kind of, you know, spine disease because he's all crooked. His back's all crooked and all that kind of stuff. And he's kind of like wrinkly and leathery now. And not for anything, you know, put on a t-shirt or something. That would be better. At a certain age, it should be mandatory. You know, it's not just because it's Iggy. You know, just for the benefit of everyone. But he's a cool dude. All right, guys, I've been on for an hour and a half. I think we're going to wrap it up for today. I really appreciate you guys coming and spending some time with me here on Addicted to Gear Live. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to talk with you guys and chit-chat about gear for, you know, an hour and a half. And I hope you guys are enjoying it too, because if you are, I'll keep it going. You know, when it stops being fun, then I'll disappear and make my way into the sunset, so to speak. But for right now, I'm having a good time, and as long as you guys keep tuning in, I'll keep on doing it. If you guys have anything you want to talk about, you can always reach out to me ahead of time or send me a little message. I'll add it to the roster and make sure we can talk about it during the show as well. And I always appreciate your comments. I always appreciate your super chats. Thank you for that. And thank you for being there. You guys are making the channel go, and it's continuing to be popular, and I'm having a lot of fun. So let's keep going. Let's keep doing it, guys. Have a great Sunday. If you're in Canada, have a fantastic Canada Day coming up. That's going to be tomorrow. Enjoy yourself. Play some gear. Enjoy the fireworks or what other festivities you guys have lined up. And we'll catch each other next Sunday. All right? Stay safe, my friends. I'll catch you soon.